In the tunnel.
In the tunnel.
In the tunnel. You're listening to In the Tunnel.
Hello and welcome to In the Tunnel, episode number 83.
As usual, we separate our episodes with a not so much planned hiatus. This one missing the Super Bowl, and I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really get much bigger than missing the Super Bowl, but we got to the point where, we episode planned a week ago, and then
Couldn't record.
and then and even then we were kind of like, the Super Bowl was a week ago. It doesn't really make sense to cover it, and then we kind of now couldn't do it because it's more towards the off season.
Yeah. All right.
So,
anyway, that just means that we have to, get going because we're 2 weeks without an episode. So yeah, we're still gonna talk about the NFL. First things first, though. Well, the only thing we can talk about though is free agency.
well, yeah, that would be the big thing. Obviously, this year seems to be a year where there's a massive amount of big name free agents. Last year was not so much, I guess. There's obviously always going to be some names.
Yeah.
But it's the names that are available like now are synonymous with higher market value. And also the names being, like, if you're a fan of football for the majority of like the 2010s, is you can find a lot of guys who hit their prime in the 2010s here.
Yeah.
Like, we don't even have Le'Veon Bell on this list, but he is an unrestricted free agent at the end of this year. That's how deep it goes.
I mean, yeah, but you look at this list and it's a pretty deep list.
Oh no, we have I think like 20, but like I was only choosing when making the graphics so many from each positional group. So, I mean, obviously it's huge, and
I mean, and that's not that's also there's some big trades that have happened already.
yeah,
I mean, the biggest one is probably the Stafford Goff.
Stafford for Goff. You feel bad for Goff, and you feel like Stafford probably is going to be closer to a Super Bowl without actually getting one.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad Matt Stafford feels like he's going to be competing now.
I
I
mean,
don't
I
see
think
that he's going to get much better than that.
I think he's gonna the team can compete. I don't.
I think the Rams' ceiling is pretty much where it was with Goff.
Yeah, but I also think that Stafford has a slightly higher upside. I mean, I think he also has a lower downside. I think Stafford is just kind of like that, up and down type of player where he'll throw you like 6 touchdowns or he'll throw you like 3 interceptions.
But I feel like we kind of saw Goff that way too, and even Goff was the number 1 overall pick, and he came into the league unrightfully so, getting a lot of criticism for not being good enough to start his first year, and then when they threw him in, I think at the end of his first year, he was making mistakes. It was like he was getting criticized, but was like, let him develop, and then he was good.
Yeah.
But then he regressed, and it's for a quarterback, he regressed really soon. Like, that's a position where you don't regress that quickly. So
I don't know
interesting.
if I think Goff was that volatile. I think every time I tune into a Lions game with Stafford, it's either like they're scoring almost 50 points or they're getting blown out because I see another interception, right? With Goff, I feel like there were the times where he was, consistent, but not like consistently good. I'll say, like you knew what you were getting from him, but it wasn't like the star or lot.
Yeah, I mean his fluctuation was more of that fluctuated between being above average and being average
Yeah, and
for a number one overall pick, and that's why I mean there's a reason why the Rams had to throw in a pick with Goff.
yeah, but like my point is that like if Stafford can show up for the Rams, I think they have a slightly higher seat. Right, Stafford
Right.
is still kind of all over the place. How I feel like it depends on how much of the really good Stafford shows up and how much of the throw six game Stafford.
Well, Stafford will give it is all that's undeniable. The thing is he's now, what, 32,
Yeah.
33 years old, and should he give it his all to the point where, like he did in Detroit, where he was fighting through, like, torn ligaments and broken body parts, is like, maybe now you play more cautiously so you don't put yourself through that.
Yep.
Because he's getting to a point where if he does that, he's kind of screwed, and then the Rams will look on and try to find somebody else again.
Yep.
Because they know that they only have a certain window with Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey.
I don't know. I think that the Rams could possibly be better than they have been off, but still around the same.
I mean, you can't really get. I mean, Goff did take them to a Super Bowl, and they were like one score away from winning.
Yeah.
Very low scoring Super Bowl.
Yeah,
The
but
defense did their job.
I don't know if the low scoring is okay anymore.
No. I mean, not in today's NFL.
All right. Well, we want to talk about any of these.
I mean, do you have any predictions for these guys? I think like Rob Gronkowski is only going to be wherever Tom Brady is.
I don't see Rob Gronkowski.
I think at this point, Antonio Brown's not on this list, but he's a free agent. Antonio Brown is probably only where Tom Brady is. Antonio Brown could chase money, but I think at this point he knows that his career, even though he made a comeback, is only as good as the support system around him. And I don't see him leaving Tom Brady. I do think that Fournette probably leaves.
Yeah, I don't see like the thing with Tampa Bay. The running back wasn't really the position of running back wasn't really the star there. Anyway, I think Tampa Bay,
they had Ronald Jones and LaShawn McCoy was being scratched every game.
Yeah, but
like they were deep at running back.
They were deep, but when you looked at a Tampa Bay game, the numbers that the running backs were putting up in relation to like team don't like it was still Tom Brady's game, still him with the ball, Gronkowski catching the ball,
but they were a balanced team.
Yeah. Even though I think it was
they won a championship off of being balanced. In the Super Bowl, they threw
more to the passing side of the game, but they did play both sides well.
In the Super Bowl, Tom Brady threw for 201 yards because I had him as part of a parlay to have over 225 yards passing, and it did not hit.
All right. Well, anyway. Yeah, here are some.
I think for the Steelers, but Dupree's probably gone unless I do think if Ben retires, if Roethlisberger retires, then they can probably open up some room to bring back Dupree.
The problem I have with Roethlisberger retiring, the heck becomes of your who's your quarterback?
It would be exactly what it was in 2019.
Oh, okay.
Rudolph and a good defense. I mean, not that I'm high on Rudolph at this point. I'm not high on Ben either.
True.
And for Ben's cap hit is $41 million. So he either his guaranteed money would be $19 million. So they're going to move on from him, I think.
All right, yeah, and only notable thing here is J.J. Watt has no team.
Apparently, already receiving a ton of offers or interest.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. He probably has the pick of the list.
Yeah, his two other brothers are in Pittsburgh already. So, I mean, hopefully that's what happens. Just for marketing reasons, that might drive the cap up here. But
All right, yeah. All right, on to the NBA. Yeah, we have the 76 top of the Atlantic.
the
They
net,
have
yep,
no,
the Nets are right behind.
yeah. Best team in the NBA right now is the Jazz at
Yep, not far behind there are the Lakers.
yeah. Otherwise, bringing up the rear is the Pistons, Timberwolves, and that's about it, right?
Pretty much. I mean, it's been an interesting year because we now are in an era where the Knicks are again a playoff team and like an interesting team in that they're not good, but in the East, the ever popular and ever horrible East, they're good enough to be like the 7 seed, I think. And
Yeah,
Charlotte
probably.
Charlotte is leading their division with a losing record.
Yeah.
So
But the only thing that stands out is Brooklyn has a 600 win percentage right now. Like,
despite the fact that it's like a rotating cast of who can be injured.
I know.
We got Harden while Kyrie's on sabbatical. Kyrie's back while Durant is having his knee scoped out. Durant is back while Harden needs a night off. It's like Harden and Durant are here while Kyrie now has like a sore hamstring. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And like, I'm just surprised the team is doing as well as it is. A rotating cast of
To think that Brooklyn has like an athletic trainer and or a healthcare provider that can provide like decent like preventative sports medicine care somewhere.
yeah.
It's like it knows how the injuries and all this stuff only happens to these three players.
Well, Kyrie does accentuate it by taking sabbatical for like philosophical reasons.
Kyrie Irving strikes me as someone who probably stretches in front of the media but does not stretch otherwise.
Maybe. Uh, any team you want to pick out to talk about?
Not really. I mean, the Jazz being the number one team in the NBA is kind of weird. I feel like the world was not ready for
They're
that.
on a tear.
They are on a tear. They've been really good, and I think notably one of the reasons why is the Jazz are a smaller market team that doesn't. The way that their organization is run, at least as far as I know, they haven't been resting players. So, I mean, they gel really well. They made good free agent moves and trades, and then they get out in front because like then teams like the Nets are resting players. Teams like the Clippers are resting players. So, I mean, that's just the era we're in right now. But I think
On
the Jazz are also a younger team in their core. Like Gobert. Gobert's probably close to 30, but Mitchell is younger. Bogdanovich.
all right. On to other NBA news.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so the NBA G League, the minor league system, they're having their own bubble in Disney World. A little bit different than the NBA. The NBA, obviously, we saw was very accommodating over time. At first, it was kind of weird. Then it got better as things went along and as the players kind of threw social media pressure towards it. Now we get the G League bubble, and I don't know if this is the entirety of the G League season or not. It's a 4 week long tournament. I take it as probably like round robin or something. The article that I read was not very long. But now in the NBA, in the G League is now finally absorbed in the collective bargaining agreement for the NBA. So, previously it was very low paying and not very enticing for talent, but now it is being under the new CBA and affiliate systems. The thing about it, though, is that the NBA teams have been asked to foot the bill.
Yeah.
Well, yes and no. Because it's like, well, that taking away from operations that I guess.
The thing with this is, right, like, sure, in order to finish their season, I'm assuming they'll probably need. I get it, right? Problem is, all the logistics behind that have, like, cash capital. And I don't think the G League makes that kind of money.
I don't think the G League makes that kind of money. We obviously saw last year. I don't know if you pay attention to it, but apparently the WNBA bubble was in much worse shape than the NBA bubble. It's basically like pay for coin-based laundry machines and stuff. But the fact of the matter is the G League is still not a talent pool of which NBA teams pull from consistently enough to warrant footing a six-figure bill, I feel like.
But at the same time, right, like, if they want to transition the something like that, it has to start somewhere. And if we started in this environment that we're health and safety regulation, gonna cost more, unfortunately.
No, I do think that the G League is improving. I do not, like I said, I do not think that it's there yet.
I agree.
But it's been around for a long time still.
Yeah.
As the D League was. But I don't know. This is interesting, and I'm kind of surprised that the G League is having a season.
But my only concern is teams can still assign players to this in the middle of their bubble season.
Yeah, the Suns just sent their first round pick down to the G League in the bubble, which
it work?
Well, it makes the bubble nullified in its entirety because it's like, the NBA bubble we saw in 2020 was like, don't even think about leaving the campus. This year for the G League bubble, it's like, well, I don't see any reason why we can't just take this guy who's in Arizona and throw him in Orlando right now.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Like, that just... Why the heck are you having a bubble if you can bring players in and out, right? I'm assuming if they can assign, they can pull.
But the thing about it is, like, if there's a quarantine period, it's like, why are you pulling the player? It's like, if there's, like, a minor injury and you need someone, it's like, by the time that person clears quarantine protocols, that minor injury for the other player might already be over.
Yep. All right. Anyway, I'll move on to Hill. Oh, first, Devils had a full outbreak. So the whole season for them went on hold, and most of the East also had a lot of games in. Yeah, so we had like 19 players.
Yeah. I think your shutdown started right before we were supposed to play you guys in a 2-game set too.
Yep. It literally started
we had the the Rangers and the Devils back to back, and you guys had like just played the Rangers, and you guys threw off like a whole like week and a half of our schedule, and then made us just like play the Islanders and then go on hiatus.
Yeah, I mean, the Devils are on hiatus for like 2 weeks, so
well, as they should be.
Yeah. And then so they had a Lake Tahoe outdoor. And yeah,
this was yesterday the 20th, Saturday. So, I mean, and this one was interesting. I'm going to take the wheel on this one. because we've had Stadium Series games at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And for some reason, we couldn't pull off like Lake Tahoe, which is covered in snow.
No, and ice.
But we could snow. Well, obviously ice, but like the backdrop, the snowy landscape on near the lake.
Yeah.
And for some reason, we could figure out Dodger Stadium in February in the middle of like Los Angeles, where it's never below like 70.
Yeah.
But we couldn't figure out the top of like a mountain. So obviously, technology has not come far enough for hockey.
Yeah,
It either has or has not. Yeah, it blew my mind. Apparently, did they go on with the Flyers-Bruins game today in the daytime too? Which is wild because it's like they didn't push that one back to nighttime after figuring out that the sun was going to be a problem for hockey.
But like the thing is, right? Like if you figure out ice in 70-degree weather, what are you doing? How can't you figure
Everything else
out?
should be easy after that.
Yeah, like you really shouldn't have any problem. No.
And like ice in 70-degree weather was like 5 years ago.
No, I'm sorry. The Bruins game is at 7:30.
Okay, well, yeah, but out there that's 4:30. Still some sun.
Dark enough, I guess.
I guess. Can't wait. They did not think that one.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, honestly, so when you look at the schedule, right, we can notice straight away Devils have the least amount of games played in the entire NHL at 12. Big surprise, right?
Yeah.
The rest of the league,
they're doing something right.
The rest of the league is, or the rest of the East, where from like. Then Canada's around the 20-game mark. Southeast, I don't know. West Southeast, around this.
Oh.
Dallas also only has 12 games, so
yeah, they had an outbreak.
Oh, they had an outbreak.
But theirs was at the start of the season.
But no, I thought Carolina had the first. Caught up.
Wait a second.
Yeah, Minnesota and Colorado have 13. Aside from that, like standings are kind of shaping up now. Kind of surprised the Wild are I guess while only.
Mm-hmm. Well, what do you think of the Devils? They have what, 16 points?
Yeah, I think so.
They're right in the thick of things, considering they have 6 less games played.
Yeah. I think the Devils are doing well. I don't really have much hope of like playoffs and stuff, but the way they've been playing has been a nice surprise. Like they just had a game today. The Capitals beat them 4, but getting 3 goals on 20 shots. Capitals pretty good. Capitals have like they're getting good chances. I think the lines are and I'm actually excited for how the season will go and how we can.
Is Blackwood the goaltender of the future?
I actually think he's doing pretty well. I think the defense isn't set around him to give him a good showing because I mean he just got pelted by 40 shots.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, a 900 save percentage. Capitals with.
I mean, the Capitals have been up and down this year, though.
Yeah, but
they had a 4-game. They had the 4-game losing streak.
No,
they had, as you said, yeah.
But
and no, the Dallas Stars have an outbreak because if you just Google Stars outbreak, the first thing that comes up, they are set to start the season on January 22nd after an outbreak canceled their first 4 games because of 17 positive tests.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but as far as the Devils are going, like I'm actually like the season's going pretty well. It's not like we're down in the dumps. We're kind of like middle, which is where I expect. What do you think about Penguins so
I think it would be great if we had defensemen who played defense. I mean,
Come
could
on.
us,
You don't want
no,
just like
I
another
mean,
Letang who could just rocket things?
no, we have Marino for that. The fact of the matter is, and this has been the issue for 3 years now, is asking goaltenders to basically stand on their head
Yep.
and then, be shocked like when there's no defensive support, there's no clamping down to get a puck out of the zone, and then they just get pelted with shots coming at them until one goes in. It's not how it works. And I'm at the Letang scored 2 goals last week. Good for him. I'm at the point where he's probably washed up enough that he needs to be the first one to be.
But my problem is, if you look at a lot of the defensemen in the league is trending towards offensive defensemen.
Yeah,
I hate it too because I think the Devils are in pretty much the same spot where, like, how do you think 40 shots on goal is okay, right? And it's just constantly happening. Like, we're showing, like, Blackwood is doing a great job when he's in, like, having to face 40 shots should never be there. So I just think that some teams need to understand that there is such thing as defense still.
be nice. Yeah.
It's just not happening.
Well, not every player, or not every defenseman, I should say, can be an offensive defenseman.
Right.
Like, I think that of each pairing, one of them has to be a defensive defenseman. You can't have Letang and somebody else, pinching up.
Unless you're on the power
offensively.
play. Go for it.
Right. Right, but so much of the power play is putting 4 forwards into the.
Yeah. Yeah, but I know some schemes will do 2 defense.
I mean, obviously, I know the Penguins roll with Malkin as a second defenseman. On a power play, I know the Capitals use Ovechkin and only use Carlson. So, I'd say the number of teams that go for offense is probably.
Yeah, I mean, most of the first power play unit is. But I've seen some cases where you have your second.
Well, yeah, because as you're getting towards the end of the power play, you have to consider getting.
Yep.
I just think that we're kind of seeing more of an era where it's like that without the power play.
And I don't know, I kind of miss some of the defense aspect of the game that I don't as much. But games are getting higher score, making it fun for the average fan.
It is. It's also making things incredibly painful for goaltenders to get paid.
Yeah.
But defensemen will get paid the same probably regardless of what. Because the thing is, the offensive defenseman resets the market for what a defenseman should be paid.
Yep.
And the defensive defenseman, makes like NHL minimum. And then the goaltender struggles to get their lucrative deal because of the imbalance.
Gotta face 5 shots a night. Good luck.
Yeah.
Oh wait, your stats are tanking to below 900 because you're 45 shots a night. Nope.
You hit everything really well with your left pad on the first shot, and then you miss on your right side. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that with nobody in front of you and a 2-on-1 3 times a game that you couldn't stop the ball?
All right. Oh.
I guess we're predicting how we think things are going to go. So, I mean, Sean, you're a Yankees fan. Do you think that your aspiration or your team's aspirations of finally getting back to the World Series going to happen this year?
As much as I want it to happen, I think
I think that the Yankees are starting to get to that point where they just kind of hover
yeah.
in a window of contention,
I
but don't actually get there.
think that like there's some or too much emphasis on the rather than style of the player mesh.
Yeah, and I do think that the Yankees kind of built up back into their window of contention with that theory, and then they got kind of close to like
Yeah.
where the window was, and they were like, okay, now they're adding the big names on top.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to clamor and hold on. Like J.A. Happ, when the Yankees got J.A. Happ, after the Yankees or after the Blue Jays era, it was like that wasn't a huge name anymore, but it might have made sense.
Yeah. And
but then
like
the John Carlos Stanton thing, the Edwin Encarnacion thing, even though Encarnacion's not there anymore, is like they went back to their old ways.
To be fair, like the team's still good. I think they'll make the playoffs. I just don't see a World Series in.
Tanaka's gone, which I'm not that he ever turned into. Like he had that one season.
He was not like a breakout kind of pitcher. He still was.
No, he
consistent.
was a Korean. He was a Korean player who came over in his prime. But for the first year or two, he was pretty good, but never was able to replicate that success.
But the thing is, right? Even when he wasn't after his first 2 years, right? There wasn't a time where he had he was still average, and he could still put up the same type of, even if it was slightly declining. I think that with the focus on star power and names, right? You still need those players that do the dirty, right? Because most of the star power is oh, I can hit, but who's gonna get on base for you to hit, right? Who's gonna be a better outfielder or fielder? Just because you can't just put 9 hitters on a team. Don't work.
Just a team full of Billy Hamiltons in their prime. Everybody can run out of bunts, but nobody can hit a home run.
Yeah, so
actually, Billy Hamilton in his prime would probably work out great in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah,
short porches all around.
Yeah,
he'd probably get triples everywhere.
So, I don't know. At least that's what I think. I don't know. What about you?
See, and we're on the graphic here, I like a bracket, like I knew what I was doing. Let's just go through each team here. So the Yankees, we think, kind of stay in the same place. The Blue Jays, I could take or leave the Blue Jays. I don't think that the Blue Jays are contending for anything.
I don't think they have anything.
Yeah, no, I think they're building upward still. Yeah. They have Vlad Jr., so they they brought him up so they can't really waste him.
Yep.
But I don't think that they have the tools to compete. The Red Sox lose Pedroia. They're, I think, at the point where they're cutting salary again, so they're probably on the way down. The Orioles, cellar dwellers. I think the Rays will be fine. They lose Morton, though.
But I still think they're fine.
But I think their free agent acquisitions, they pick up Chris Archer again. They lose Morton. I think they're kind of trying to repair solidified pieces with shoestring. So we'll see what they can do. But
I mean, again, it's in the division with the Yankees.
But hey, they got further.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just what I'm saying is the Yankees aren't really a contender. I think the Rays can keep up. So yeah, that's all I'm saying. It's they could keep up. I don't think.
I think the White Sox are probably looking upwards. The Twins are probably going to compete for the playoffs, but as normal, they'll probably get that's what they do. The Cleveland baseball team, which is be where they've been. They don't have Lindor anymore. Not that he was providing.
Do we know when they're going to get a new name?
Not. I didn't know that they were going by the Cleveland baseball team.
Well,
The
it's like the
last press
Washington football team, dude.
the last press release I saw, and keep in mind I could have missed something, was basically saying like that they were removing like the Indian logo, but at this point in time they were
I think
like
they got pressured
not
enough.
going. Yeah, I mean after Washington removes the name of Redskins, you can't just be like, oh, we're taking the logo away, and we'll get to it, the other stuff when we get to it.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that didn't work the last time. What makes you think it's going to work in Cleveland? Kansas City Royals, don't really know what's going on there. Same with the Tigers, but
Okay.
they're doing their kind of dumpster fire.
Which is kind of sad. I really like the Tigers field.
I mean, it's huge. It looks huge on TV.
But it's like really nice. Like when I did a baseball road trip, probably had the most like character. It was a nice feel. Like you got a good view from. I like seeing games there.
Seeing those brick walls too.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just like the team has just been so like lackluster that I just don't watch those games. You know.
The Houston Astros probably take a step backwards. They lose George Springer.
Yeah, but I still think
they have pitching, but like
they have pitching. Yeah. So,
but AL West probably could be a little bit more open with loss of Springer. The Angels kind of are still in the middle of the pack. They kind of have been sitting there. The Athletics made moves, but are they moves that are going to work? The Mariners, and the Texas Rangers are kind of a whatever as well. Let's see. NL East, the Mets made decent moves, but also made very Mets kind of mistake moves.
that's like a what?
So the Mets could kind of go from one extreme to the other.
That team is gonna be fun to see how it turns out. You know?
Yeah. Speaking of volatile, I'd say the Mets might be the most volatile.
Yeah.
The Braves probably are in contention just as much as the Nationals. The Phillies should be in contention after all the money that they put into names, but
again,
just don't know.
it's all names. What? How are they gonna match?
Well, the crazy thing is the Phillies historically in the past 20 years have probably been the best team in the NL East. But with that being said, the Marlins, Nationals, Braves have all made the playoffs recently. And the Mets probably made the smartest moves in the offseason. So I'm not really sure. That's probably the most toss-up division. The NL Central, I think the Cardinals are fine.
Yeah.
I think they're fighting father time now. I think they're making moves like they think that they can still compete, and maybe they can to like a wild card extent, but not to the point where they're going to win a title. I think the Brewers are kind of fooling with themselves. They have Yelich locked down, but they can't really afford much else.
Yeah, that's going to be their.
I think the Cubs are a volatile team in the fact that, the talent is there, but it's not the 2016 team kind of talent where everything was up and coming.
Yeah.
So it's kind of everything is what it is unless someone breaks out. The Reds are kind of interesting, but not really to the point where they're competitive. And the Pirates are just kind of there because they finally signed like their first major league free agent
after imploding their whole team.
No, I'm saying they haven't signed a player to a major league deal. Like they signed Gerard Dyson last year and traded him, but Gerard Dyson openly said that he only took the Pirates deal because it was the only major league contract that he was offered. Well, otherwise, the Pirates hadn't offered a major free agent contract in like 3.5 years,
which is dumb.
Yep. And then in the NL West, the Dodgers are probably
Dodgers,
and then the Padres are probably right there, be neck and neck there.
But the Padres always fall.
Yeah.
It's just like it's always the Dodgers, right? The Padres just never do enough right.
Well, the thing is, it's always the Dodgers, but I feel like it's always the Dodgers once the playoffs. Like, I feel like it doesn't matter, and it is possible of the Dodgers to be the second best team in the NL West and going into the playoffs. But if there was a series between those two teams in the playoffs, the Dodgers probably get that.
Yeah, but I mean that's literally always what it feels like it shapes up to be.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much else to it.
Yep. Anything else to talk about?
Yeah. Sir, I think I've got everything covered for baseball.
All right.
It'll be a very interesting season for as long as you can actually watch.
Yeah. So hopefully our next episode is a week away.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Thanks for and next time.